Angelina, let's grab it. Hello, everybody. You are here with Gypsy and practitioner John Mills on Gypsy Soul. What's happening, guys? So here we are. We're in our what I'm starting to think now. What we do is cosplay. I never knew much about cosplay, but I'm starting to think that our thing of liking to dress up and be different than other people is more like cosplay for us. Like I was telling you earlier, I kind of wanted to look into that and see if that has any kind of connections with mental illness or abuse of some form or something. But
Perhaps.
we love it, I guess, with our mental illness, and especially with my mental illness. I love to dress up and stuff, which I was going to have my little witchy hat on, and I don't know why I didn't put the witchy hat on.
But I cleaned them glasses and now you're going to put them back
Oh,
on your head.
yes.
That's
I'm
why
going to
they're
put them right
so
here
nasty.
on this table. Right there on the table. All right, I don't know. Hope you guys can see us good. Can we zoom in a little bit? Should I drop that light?
No, it's
We're
okay.
trying to get things right. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this video was kind of let you guys know what we've been doing, sort of the purpose behind it, and how it's really helped us out. As you know, I have PTSD, social anxiety, fight or flight syndrome, um, dissociative identity disorder. You have to help me out. I'm starting to forget what all I've got. Anxiety, panics, generalized anxiety, is manic depression,
Mm,
um,
bipolar.
bipolar, all sorts of different things. And these things were brought on with me from trauma being a child. And my personality kind of splintered off and just stopped growing. And then recently I had trauma with my children, which kind of brought that trauma from the past back to the surface. And then I started developing the mental disorders like bipolar and um, dissociative identity disorder. And of course, I had the phobias and fears of cars, of people, of going outside, of big trucks, um,
Traffic and cars in general.
yeah, crowds of people, fear of abandonment, fear of being kidnapped, fear of being stalked.
Traveling through states.
Um,
So many.
so many phobias and things that I have. And John has PTSD. And what was that other thing that you were recently diagnosed with? It's kind of like a sensitivity, sensomatic sensitivity sort of thing. Um, I guess where you're sensitive, oversensitive over. Gosh, I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was. But it's like a sensitive, being oversensitive to certain things, reacting sensitively to certain things. Anyways,
I'll think of the name. It's on the edge of my mind.
it is. It's right there. But when all this happened with our kids, and John, of course, has been all over the world. He served 12 years in the Marine Corps. My baby, sympathize. Um, so he's seen a lot of places. He's been to a lot of holy grounds. He's been to a lot of evil grounds. He's been around ancient and culturistic demons in different cultures and things like that. And his upbringing wasn't the lovey-dovey, kissy-huggy at home like a lot of folks. His was a lot like mine in some way, except for he left and went and did something with his life, and he went and fought in the war. So you can imagine the things that he saw and that he went through, and what he got used to, and And you never really would think of so many of the simplest little things that can trigger people with mental illness, especially trauma related to traumas. There's so many little things, but when my kids did what they did, and I just got tired of hurting. Really, I got very tired of hurting. My whole life, I wanted to travel. I'm a gypsy in my spirit. I'm gypsy soul. My whole life, I have traveled. I've never stayed in one place very long. I guess my mom was a gypsy. Um, my twin aunt, I have a twin aunt, which has been long gone, passed away. She was a witch and dabbled a little in Satanism. My mom dabbled a little in witchcraft, and so it was just part of our family. But we also had Christians. We were Baptist, being raised up, so we had a little bit of everything that was going on in our lives. Very dysfunctional home for me. Kidnaps, rapes, molestations, that sort of thing, stalkers. Um, so, anywho, I guess when the kids did what they did, and I'll have to make a point of this right now. Since I've always been gypsy spirit, I've always held myself back for my kids. I didn't want to go too far away from them. If I tried to leave them in some way, even if it was to take a job out of state for, a few weeks or months at a time or whatever, no matter the case, if it took away from my kids, I couldn't do it. I would feel so guilty, and I would have to come home. I did very soon realize that I was the only one feeling that way. They didn't care if I left and went to BFE. I thought they did. So I kind of like held back doing everything I wanted to do in my life, and things that I wanted to see, and places that I wanted to go. I mean, when I had my kids, I was young and I sacrificed a whole lot for them. Anything that a mother would sacrifice for their children, I did that. But as they got older and could make choices of their own, I still could not leave them because I thought that they needed me. They didn't need me. I thought they wanted me, but they didn't want me. John is kind of in the same boat. His son doesn't want anything to do with him, hasn't had anything to do with him. All of our children are grown up now. They're 21 and older. So I had asked God to remove anyone that was just harm or that was standing in the way of me living that life of peace. And that's all I've ever wanted was a life of peace. Even though I didn't act out peace in my life, I didn't act out peace because I wasn't taught peace. I don't associate love with happiness, or I didn't associate love with happiness, not even sexually. I didn't associate sex with pleasure or love or romance or any of that. Um, None of those things were taught to me. They were not things that I was learned. I was taught that I was a whore and that I was here just to satisfy men, and that was it. I was just here to be a servant, pretty much. And that's pretty much, I realize now that's pretty much what I did. I just laid down as a doormat and continued to be a servant all my life and even to my children, and allowing even them to abuse me. Same thing with John. You know, um, our kids can really hurt us. They don't understand decisions and choices that we had to make. And one day they will, because we've not made any choices or decisions that any parent hasn't made, or they haven't had to face off with. And our kids are going to face off with the exact same things that we did that they called us failures at.
That's true.
And they're pretty much going to fail too. You know, it's a given. There's some things, it's just a given. So, anyways, me and John sitting here now with no ties. We have no kids that want anything to do with us, no life of no work, nothing stopping us from living that dream of freedom and being out on the road and seeing the countrysides and then God's art, the mountains and the trees and all the beautiful landscape and the wide open roads. And when you look, you can see forever, and it's nothing but dreamland. It's like you want to be a part of it. You want to explore each area that you see in life. I've always been that way. I've always wanted to do that. So we kind of looked at each other one day and said, let's just do it. So I think that day he started looking online. The next day he put in an application. The next day someone called. He had orientation in 2 weeks, and we left that day for our first trip. And we are transporting RVs, things like that, for Synergy out of Indiana. And so we get to live that kind of hobo, gypsy, hippie, free living sort of life that I've always wanted to live. To love and explore and to just fall in love with everything about life, every natural thing in life that there is, the beautiful things, the beautiful people that we run into. So far we've been through what, 28,
29.
29 states. We didn't get to explore all of 29 states, but just to say we've been there and to see some of the buildings and some of the landscape. And then sometimes we did stop and visit some of the places, the local places, which was very fantastic. But how does all this tie in with mental illness and dealing with it, right? Well, for me, I have extreme phobias of cars, highways, trucks, big trucks, tractor trailers, anything bigger than me, really. Um, Extreme phobias. Normally, if we're going down the road or something like we have to go to the VA hospital for him up in Asheville, if a truck passed me, I'm curled up like a baby crying until he leaves or until he gets past us.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm nervous to the point gotta throw up, just gotta pull over and throw up. Loud vehicles that come around me shock me so bad that my heart starts pounding. I start having a panic attack. My throat begins to tighten up. I get to where I can't breathe. Um, Sometimes I'll go into a full blown one. I don't even drive because for the same reasons. Um, and I'm afraid I'll kill somebody, most of the time if I'm driving and something like that, a big truck or something loud passes me or something, I'll jerk, freak out, run off the road, whatever. I'll forget where I'm going. In the middle of where I'm going, I'll freak out. I just extreme phobias, and I'll go years without driving a vehicle at all. Um, Meeting people, I don't like always meeting people. Being out on my own, walking into truck stops, and truck stops has always been a fear factor of mine because truck stops is one of the places that I'd say I don't really have fond memories of. Um, don't have a lot of fond memories of truckers at all, I guess. But to be able now, um, being able to go down a road and not pay attention to those big trucks, not freak out. Um, I thought for sure, and I'm pretty sure you thought, that this was not going to happen with me. I did. I mean, I totally thought that, I don't know how well this is going to work. Am I going to freak out? Am I going to freak him out? Am I going to cause this to wreck? Is he going to be like, oh, hell no, I'm keeping the job, but the old lady's going to stay home? How was this going to work? That was, I had a lot of fear factors over it. I really did.
Well, I think you still do um, when you're facing them. And sometimes I know you can't just face one or two. It's like a bunch of them at once.
Wow.
in some
Yeah.
states. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess you have to understand too. Some people it works out to face them, just face
Hmm.
them head on, and then it's done with. A lot of times,
That's me. I've got
um,
to just,
that's how I've done with things in my life too. Just
I will let them control me
yeah,
for a while. But then after a while, I'm just like, no. And they'll come
uh,
back sometimes and recontrol me.
I
And
guess
I
it
have to
just
keep
depends
fighting
on
them
how
off.
deep seated they are in the person too. And I guess where you're at, like before I joined the Corps, I had a really horrible fear of heights,
Hmm.
and then well, I don't anymore. I didn't after boot camp, and much less after that. I've been jumping out of things.
And
Well, my
that's one of
body
the
won't let
first
me no
things
more, but
that you have to do, right?
yeah,
Is jump out
you
of
learn
planes.
how
I
to
can
you
imagine.
learn how to repel and stuff
See, even that has
off of
got me
towers.
almost antsy. That sped up my heart just thinking what that would feel like.
That's great.
I can see I can
It's
see
really
how it would be great to be
to
like
me. It's
flying. But my fear factor is like I would forget to pull the freaking thing, or it wouldn't work, or I'm like so amazed at what's going on. Like, oh wow, splat. So many things could happen with me, but
well, you train. I mean, it's not like you just go in blind. And
I commend you for that though, because that's something that I can't. I don't think I could ever do. Not something don't even think I ever want to
I think
do.
most people in the real think that they think even right up until doing it, you think I'll never be able to do it. But I think once you get to it and you rely on your training and things like that, because like I said, you don't just go blindly into it and just say, hey, get out of the plane or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of training that leads you up to that point. So it's now rappelling. That's different. Rappelling, yeah, you just one day you had to jump off a tower.
Mm.
You do a 30 foot and a 60 foot, and that's how you learn. And then for me, it was immediately. I was over that fear, and I couldn't wait to get back up there.
How does that tie in with our traveling? Your fear of flying?
You mean of heights?
Oh, of heights. Yeah.
Well, I don't have it anymore. I
Okay.
didn't since then, and it's never come back. I've sought after that ever since. So it's not a
Yeah. So
for me.
you're
For me,
saying you're facing off with that fear.
yeah, I'm saying that
Yeah.
for some people it's like you flipped a switch and it's gone. And for me, me and James have talked about this because he's like me. He keeps wanting to go back to Carowinds. Once in a while, me and him we get to talking about it. And for me, it's always been about chasing that feeling, that kind of like your stomach got left behind, kind of pit of your stomach kind of thing. I've always loved that feeling since the first time I jumped off a rappel tower. But after doing so many things that I did in the Corps, I lost that feeling. And I don't know how many people out there have ever been in that situation. You just lose that um, kind of out of control feeling.
Mm.
Well, I don't get that anymore, and I think that's kind of what Carowinds has ever been about with me is trying to feel at least for a second feel that come back.
Yeah.
And I've told James
Get
every time we
used
get
to
on the
that
ride,
feeling.
well, they say it's really easy to become an adrenaline junkie in the Corps, especially, and I can
Now,
relate.
in a lot of ways, I
I can
am an
relate.
adrenaline
Yeah,
junkie. I love chasing after things, and
yeah,
to me, with my mental illnesses and all that I have, I do see them as demons, and I have always loved to spiritually face off with demons.
right. And maybe
I've always
that's
loved
part of
that.
it. That's that you're trying to get that high.
Yeah, I guess. And kind of
Um,
saying, like, F you, you control me for a little bit, but,
yeah,
God made me supernatural.
he made us
He made
neutral.
us supernatural, and we have dominion over all that.
Yeah,
So now with the kids gone, it's like, okay, in my mind, the way I had to tell myself, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's like they're dead. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But if they're not speaking to me, they're not talking to me, I'm not seeing pictures of them, we're not socializing with them, we don't hear their name in circle of friends and family.
I think that's kind of the way it has to be for a
It's like they're dead. So
while.
And I don't wish them dead
No.
in any way. I wish death on them, but what I mean by that is a new resurrection, death to the old, learning the new, learning, death to their way of thinking, death to this evilness that's governing them and keeping them blind from seeing what's really happening with people. That's keeping them from um, being compassionate and
Yeah.
understanding and um, helpful, supportive of us.
So see, when you say death on somebody, it's not the same thing
And
as
it is
somebody else
not,
saying it.
and my kids know this, but of course, I said that to Summer one day, and she's held that against me and blasted it on Facebook. But even my children know that when I speak most of the time literally by what it means. Like, I mean,
You're speaking in a spiritual sense. And
yeah,
they
I try to as
choose
much as
to
possible.
try
I
to
mean,
turn a deaf ear to it.
but I wanted to die out to me and to who I was. I wished death upon myself, but I actually got to the point that I wished real physical death of this body on me, and I honestly have tried that several times now. And I've got to say this, and this was an eye opener, which I think was the biggest change for me with the kids, with my mental situations. Getting over the phobias of the cars and the traffic, which I honestly did by just keeping myself busy looking at something else, Facebook and TikTok. But I took crafts and things and read books or whatever that kept my mind off of watching that road all the time. I was watching where I'm going, always being concerned about what's happening out there. Um, Once I stopped being concerned about what's going on with my kids, what they're thinking about me, once they left me, then I was free to just let my fears go or face off with my fears. So I'm over the phobias of the vehicles, but then I'm still dealing with the fact that the kids have died to me, and I don't know which way they're going to resurrect, if that makes sense. It's still the fact of, the memory of the things that they said, the memory of things that they physically did. And it all just kind of got to me one day. So I did try to kill myself, but I was trying to do it in a slow manner so that I could feel everything as it was happening. But John did catch me, and just there for a moment, I guess when he was trying to help me down or something, I went somewhere. It was almost like I went to sleep, but I went somewhere, and there was a bunch of people, and people were hugging me and saying hello and hey, it's good to see you. And they felt like family, like my grandma, my grandpa hugging me, and different people welcoming me in like they haven't seen me in a long time. And then this man coming up to me and he's talking to me and he's telling me something. And I have on this bag that I normally wear, and I have my little wallet and everything in it. And while this man is talking to me, someone comes up behind me and is like pickpocketing me. And the voice is telling me, they're still in your life. They're still in your life. You're still in your life. You are allowing them to steal your life. And then just that quickly, I came to, and I started realizing where I was at and what had just happened to me. And I honestly feel like I had died for a moment, and I went, maybe not to heaven, but somewhere where there was people who wanted me. There was people who wanted to see me, and they were happy to see me. But I realized that it was me allowing people to steal my life and my happiness from me. So there is where it became the determination of, hey, this is what I've always wanted, is to be free and to do this thing and to do it with you. Because I feel safe with you, and I feel like no matter what eventually we take in life, I know that you're going to help me take care of it. You're going to help me through it, and we're going to help each other through it. I think we're both strong enough in different ways that there's not a whole lot that we couldn't work ourselves with and work through. And I don't feel like there's anything out there in the world that can happen to me that hasn't already happened as far as being kidnapped. I have had two men amongst our travels that tried to, what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm not sure.
Two men from Walmart's, two different Walmart's.
Hit on you.
Hit on me, pick me up, something, but both were in very strange ways. And of course,
stalk you.
Yeah, one guy was stalking me all over Walmart. So I mean, being a sexual abuse survivor and counselor, awareness counselor, I learned to pick up on those things, and also having the psychic ability to know things. I knew exactly what the two of them were trying to do, which is one of my fears. It's one of those things that always happen to me, and spiritually I'm growing, maturely I'm growing, and in the arts and the gifts that God gave me. And so I did listen very carefully to what I was being told with these men. And to me, I faced off with another fear. I'll walk in a Walmart across the parking lot, leave him asleep, and it's a long distance from where we have to park into the Walmarts in the morning, because sometimes he's got to sleep in. He's drove all night or something. And I'll go in and get our food, breakfast, or whatever we need, or something, walk around, wake up, connect to Wi-Fi, and do what I got to do. And before I couldn't do that. I could not walk into a Walmart by myself. There's no way. I could if I was just going in real quickly and getting something, coming back out, like my local Walmart that I would know. And I can't always do that. Sometimes he has to take me to Walmart. Yesterday I was fine with Walmart by myself. I think it was like 3-4 days ago I had to have you to take me.
Yeah.
So it's
it comes and goes.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
So you're the other type of person. Some of the things you've got going on, it's not just going to be flipping a switch.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of a gradual progression, I think. But you're working through it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
I know I've took a lot of videos and pictures and things. I noticed that it altered out a whole lot.
Yeah.
During the trips.
You have. There's been a few situations that would kind of, you could see how that could happen pretty easily. I mean, we've had some things that was kind of, it put everything right in your face in a sense.
Yeah, it did. It was like,
like when we came back across Wyoming, our first trip, we went to Utah, and going down there was fine. First RV we delivered, and
it was very nice.
Yeah, but coming back,
the view was beautiful.
Coming back across 80, coming back across Wyoming, they were shutting it down behind us because the winds picked up, and the snow. And if you've ever been across that particular stretch of Wyoming, it's really the only way to get all the way across. Plus, the elevation there is really high. I think the average elevation is something like a mile or so, mile and a half. So the winds can get up to 80 miles an hour, sometimes 100 miles an hour. Driving a rig of any kind, very dangerous once you get up at about a sustained 30 miles an hour. And when we came through, they had
see
warned
me
us.
Twitching because everything he's saying is making me like.
It was absolutely, and she fell asleep, thankfully.
That's one way I got through a lot of it. Sleep.
We delivered the RV. We spent the night at a Walmart parking lot in Utah, which was strange because it turned out that we slept about 200 yards from a place that I had seen on the news a couple years ago. Turned out this guy had gotten out of prison for making bombs. Well, when he got out of prison, turned out he had more stuff to make bombs in the walls of this house. And what it was, they were doing a collection for Toys for Tots. This was in December at Walmart, and
there was all these police lights and stuff. We was doing a live, and our people was looking behind us, going, "What's going on with the cops back there?" So we didn't know. We thought something was going on.
I went and asked.
We didn't even know the story about the guy with the bomber.
No, and I went and asked. One of the people from Walmart was out there directing traffic, and I asked the guy. I said, "What is this?" And I said, "Should we be concerned?" He said, "Oh," he said, "Everybody keeps asking." He said, "It's Toys for Tots." And we get to talking, and he points out this house a couple 100 yards away, and it's kind of prominent. It sits on the corner. And I said, "Something familiar about this house?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "It was in the news a couple years ago because this guy kept building bombs, and there was a bomb threat there like 2 different times. It made national news." And I was like, "Man, I remember seeing that. I didn't realize we slept near this house."
And how did I've been wondering, how did you feel, or your afterthoughts, or did you at any time think bomb military, bomb your experience? Do you think at any time that kind of set you off or triggered you, or did you have a flashback or anything like that?
Well, certain things do. Thinking about bombs, I don't think so much, but the MOS I had in the Corps, explosive ordnance disposal, which is making bombs and using bombs and stuff like that.
So it wasn't like a fear trigger for you.
No, but that was my secondary MOS. It was something I was really well adjusted to. Was that something I did all the time?
You was talking about me sleeping. I wanted to point out too that as a child, I could sleep when we took our trips to South Carolina. I loved it.
Family trip.
Yeah, I laid in the back and I watched the trees and listened to Patsy Cline and all them and sing the songs and everything. And then after the first wreck or 2 I've ever been in, I started getting afraid of laying back there. And then the seatbelt thing came in. And then as my fears progressed, there was no way whatsoever I was going to lay in the backseat of a car and sleep while someone's driving. That's not going to be a possible thing for me to do.
Right.
But for some reason, when I jump in that car or in that RV, I say to myself, I'm going to lay down and sleep. And God, if you take me, take me. It's like every fear factor that I have to face out there, it's like, here I am.
Yeah.
It's either take me or I'm going to live this free life and I'm going to enjoy it. It's how I'm having to look at my fears and my fear factors. Now, like triggers that cause me to alter out, like you was talking about when we was leaving Utah and all. Was it Utah and it started snowing real bad and elevation?
Yeah, once we left Utah and started crossing Wyoming again, weather turned. It got and the weather wasn't predicting that it was going to turn quite like that, and not that quickly. So it started turning quicker than it was predicted. And like I said, luckily Tina laid down and went to sleep, and she stayed asleep almost until we got out of Wyoming. Almost, yeah. we were pretty much across it, and I was thankful because it got pretty hairy.
But isn't that when I had my first and only panic attack?
Yeah.
Shortly after that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You didn't make it all the way through. You made it about 3/4 of the way.
The problem was I woke up.
Yeah, she woke up and didn't know where she was, and like I said, the weather had turned.
It was so bad.
And we were in the middle of it. We couldn't stop.
When I woke up, and one of the reasons why I didn't really know where I was at was because the slush hit in the windows.
Yeah.
and the snow fog from the tractor trailers and the ice and the salt that had covered all the freaking windows of the car.
Yeah, you
I
could.
couldn't see out. If I couldn't see out of the windows, I couldn't see past the car
Yeah, that's true.
because of the
Yeah.
snow cloud.
Yeah, it was pretty
And
tight.
I remember
Yeah.
hanging in there for a little while, but then I remember I began to start feeling like I was going to start freaking out.
Yeah.
So I was smart enough to grab my phone and start recording before I went into a full blown attack.
You were, and you had altered and started speaking, I don't know, another language. And
That's one thing about me, though. When I do alter out with a bad panic attack, pass out, and alter sort of thing, I will speak an entirely different language. And you know what I think it is? I think it's an Arabic prayer.
Arabic. Oh yeah.
I think
Maybe
it's
so.
some kind of an ancient prayer that I'm praying when I get to this point of fear.
Well, you kept asking me things too in that language, and I was trying to tell you it's going to be okay. And you woke up, and I say probably about 3/4 or maybe 2/3 of the way through. We had probably another hour or hour and a half to get across Wyoming. And you're right, visibility had gotten really bad. It was bad out there. And me and the other trucks, it was just us and a bunch of 53-foot tractor trailers trying to make it across.
And you had ran out of wiper fluid stuff.
Yeah, we were out of
so
wiper
if you imagine
fluids.
when he used the wipers, he just smeared everything across and made it worse. And
yeah, when we finally got to Cheyenne, because there's a lot of open space in there that there's nothing. When we finally got to Cheyenne and I seen the Walmart sign, I pulled over and I got a little thing to clean the windows.
And then I was
she
fine.
was but she was freaking out. It was like kind of like driving a tank.
Once the windows was cleaned, I was fine. But I did video everything, and then I watched the video back, and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, what just happened? And I was
what
like,
is wrong with me? And I kept watching that video thinking, I can't do this. I can't.
Well, it was kind of funny.
I can't take this drive and respond to natural things like this in this manner. Though I didn't have to go back through that like that, but I'm sure now that I have, I expect it. As long as we're doing this job, I expect it. I'm going to have to, we're going to prepare for it,
adapt.
And adapt and overcome. So I'm facing a lot of fears out there that I didn't even know I had, actually. And there's something else important I was going to say that went along with that. The fear factors and all, but I'm determined that I'm not going to let these fear factors that I have stop me. I have nothing to live for anymore. And that's probably hurts your feelings, but there's a lot of drama and baggage that I do bring to the table. And I don't want to leave anybody hurting, but I do want to leave somebody with a better chance and better opportunity in their life. And when you lose your children, not to death, but because they don't want you, and you got grandchildren that you'll never see, never get to love, never hug, what is there to live for? There is no life of the grandkids coming over and spending the night. There's no Sunday dinners. There's no memories to be made. There's no holidays to have together. There's none of that. So to me, and for 46 years, I've been beaten, abused, kidnapped, sold for drugs, raped, sex trafficking, been put on the streets. There's nothing else in life that can ever happen to me. So I feel like I can face off with anything now. When I was shot years ago, the only thing that kept me alive then was my daughter telling me, "Don't leave me, Mommy. Don't leave me. I love you. Don't leave me." And I lived for her. But that same little voice now says, "I hate you. I hate you. I hate you." So what is there to live for? Now, I could live for the chance and the opportunity to be peace and happiness and enjoy my life the way I want to enjoy it. So when I'm out there and I'm looking at all these fear factors and these triggers, I'm constantly saying it's do or die.
Right.
It's do or die. And I'm going to die doing what I love doing. Seeing the world, seeing the states, seeing critters, picking up things from all over the world that are, I call it the world, but all over the states. You never know. We may end up in, all over the world, which would be cool too. But I'm getting to live freely and do what I want to do and be with nature and live with nature.
I would really like to do that and get out in the world again. We'll see. Depends on how you feel.
We mean get out in the world again.
Like other countries.
Um,
That
yeah,
would be a whole nother
yeah.
set of fears for you guys.
Yeah, oh yeah. Talk about kidnapping and torture and rape and all that. Yes.
But
I've been invited many times to Hades to face off with the witch doctors. We've actually was offered a home there to go and govern over a Christian church that battled the witch doctors and Haitian witch doctors, which is what I'd love to do. I mean, something I would like to do is face off with demons, with witch doctors, and then of course I'd like to get to know the witch doctors and get to know what they're about and their religion and how they come about, because I don't think every magical, mystical, supernatural thing out there is evil. I think it can all be used for evil. And I think there's some things that are just designed for evil, and you got a choice to leave those things alone.
True.
The intent of magic and supernatural being is always and in every case do no harm to others, to no living things. So I love to get out there and explore every bit of that in people's cultures and get pieces of their land, their trees, their herbs, their animals, their whatever. So, and as far as now as PTSD, I think we both do pretty good with the PTSD. We get along great, I think, for the most part when we're traveling.
I think we've learned a lot to be able to get along and to kind of, I don't know, work with it or push it aside one.
Yeah.
Or overlook it. Not to take away from you, but I realized on this when we were going across Wyoming, the thing about the sun being behind the clouds like that it had been triggering me for years, and I didn't realize it because it reminded me of being out in the sand. And I didn't realize it would set me up for having a horrible day or maybe horrible weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I never realized what it was doing. And it was all because of that look in the sky. But I know a lot of the things you had to face off with all at once and together. Maybe for some people that'd be a really harsh way to go about it. Maybe be counterproductive. I think it's been really helpful in a lot of ways to you.
Well,
looking back at it now,
I purposely done this before I ever told you let's do it. I purposely, took my spiritual bath and I talked to God and I was like, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of this. I just want to go, and I'm going to go and just do it.
Yeah.
So find a way for me to do it. If this is right, if it's time, do it. And that's when I got out of the tub, out of my spiritual bath and all, and I went in there, me and you was talking, and I said, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. So I knew that it was time. And then just recently I've had my cards and stuff read, and spiritual readings done and stuff like that. And they've all been telling me that it's time for me to enjoy my life. And as a matter of fact, dreaming of the keys the other day was telling me that I have the keys to life now, and I have the keys to my life, and I can live my life the way I want to and free. And I can lock away those things that I want to lock away, and I can open up the doors to the things that I want to open up. So, I think in my case too, with all the traveling, there's a lot of downtime where you're just thinking.
Yeah.
And for me, I did a lot of thinking, and I know I was probably like the worst, boring, freaking company for you, especially those times that you needed to be awake and someone keeping you active and all, which I did try, when I realized that there was those moments, I did try to, okay, wake up, get up there, talk to them, whatever, or at least be present. But I knew that there was a lot of times that you were just thinking about life in the past, and your trip to Texas was really hard on you, because of Texas being part of your heritage, I guess you'd say, where you're from, some family, and different things about Texas. And I know that was a hard emotional thing for you, and I saw you actually get over that. And I saw that once you was in Texas, you were like, okay, this is not what I remember. This is better for me. This is cool. This is good. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, that's true. I think I
Yeah,
drove
I
it.
totally saw
Yeah.
that. And so, there's plenty of time to think. And I think for both of us, we was thinking about facing off. And you have plenty of time to know where you're going in most cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well,
if it's a
so,
place that's going to trigger you, then you've got time to think about it and say, okay, do or die.
Yeah.
Going forward, I got to face off with this thing. And that's, what I was telling God. I want to face off with these fears. I want to go to these places. I'm getting tired of not being able to drive, being afraid to drive. I'm tired of, just all these different things. And then I've even been able to drive.
Yeah.
I drove to, I drove 4 hours, right? I drove from, where did I drive from? Ohio to,
drove from Indiana to Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was about 4 hours.
Which
yeah, you
I
followed me
never
in the
would have
truck.
thought
Yeah.
that I could have done that. But because I was behind him in the truck and I stayed behind him in the truck, I was able to do so. Even my vision was great. We drove at night, which was a lot better for us.
Yeah.
I think that really helped a lot with our PTSD and my fears and phobias a lot.
Well, in the traffic.
Was driving at night.
If we'd done that during the day, I think it would have been a lot different because of the traffic. As we had to go through a lot of the downtowns to get there.
But I think, talking about looking ahead and knowing where you're going and being prepared. In my case, at one point, I was not prepared.
Yeah, that's true.
And we had no clue that we was going through there, which we got to get some kind of atlas or map from now on. But I woke up in.
I'll be right back.
Okay, I woke up in Virginia. West by God, Virginia. And I got to have a cigarette on that one. But for West by God, Virginia, it was really bad for me when I was 11, 12, something like that. I was kidnapped by 3 men who I knew briefly who lived in my trailer park. Anyways, I was walking down the road one day. They pulled up beside me. Hey, you want to go party? Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Whatever. I'm like, no, I'm going to walk up over to Holly's house. And they drove off a little bit. And a few minutes later, they came back by, and Holly is in the car. And I asked if I want to ride. I look in, and Holly's just passed out. Holly's not responding or nothing. And I'm like, no, that's okay. I don't want to go. I didn't know what was wrong, what was happening. And so I started to walk off. And when I did, they pulled up a little bit behind me. The 2 guys in the back jumped out. It was a father and a son. They put me in the back of the car. And I struggled with them for a little while. And we drove for a little while. And I ended up struggling to the point that I kind of fell asleep. I was just so tired and wore out from struggling. The 2 of them in the back seat for a couple hours. And I woke up in West Virginia.
I'm back.
I woke up in West Virginia with the 3 of them trying to rape me. They'd got me out of the car, was fighting me, trying to rape me. They couldn't. And I remember hearing them say, well, I'm about half damn dead anyways because they, beat on me and hit on me and stuff. And they said, well, one of them said, well, grab her by her hands and her feet and let's toss her off. Because we was on the side of Roanoke, West Virginia on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And anyways, they threw me off, left me. I remember hearing everything they said and did. And to make a long story short, I won't go all into the details of that night and how things turned out. But on this particular route that we're taking, I wake up and I don't feel right. I become very ill. My spirit is just like full of hate. And I remember snapping at him a few times. And I was like, I need a cigarette. So he pulled over real fast for me. And I step out the vehicle and I'm out there smoking a cigarette. And I'm right up the side of a guardrail. And I look across the guardrail and something hits me. And I start looking across wherever I'm at. And I see the mountains and I see all the trees. I see the guardrail on the other side of the road. It's a lot steeper drop off. And it dawned on me. I realized where I was at. John walked around the side of the RV. And I said, where are we at, John? And he said, West Virginia. Baby, I didn't know it. And so I had to stand there, and I guess I smoked about 3 or 4 cigarettes. Looking at all the traffic. It was so busy. Looking at the mountains and where I was at and drop-offs and thinking about the truckers and all the people and wondering where the hell were these people when this 12-year-old girl was asking for help, was needing help, was on the side of the road being raped and molested, or tried to. Where were all these people? So I had a hard time with that. We get up the road a little piece and we're hungry. It's time for us to stop for our 6 hours or whatever. So we stop at this little mom and pop gas restaurant thing in Virginia where we ended up getting stuck for a little bit. And I'm in a really foul mood. I'm not in a good mood at all. I walk outside to smoke a cigarette, hold the door open for this guy. And as soon as our eyes meet, his eyes got real big like he recognized me. And my vision's not that great, even up on somebody. But he felt very familiar to me. And as the doors shut behind us and I stepped off the steps and lit my cigarette, I thought to myself, is that the damn guy that kidnapped me? And then I started remembering they were from West Virginia. That's why they took me to West Virginia. I knew that he lived in West Virginia. 45 minutes I had to sit there wondering, thinking about all the things I should do, all the things I could do, and all the things that he did. And I just couldn't believe that I was stuck in, by God, West Virginia. But overall, I think I did good. I don't remember breaking down. I don't remember, I think I altered a little bit. But I think I went into that protective kind of
You did all right, yeah.
mode. I didn't say anything to him. It was just hard. It was just a really hard moment, hard time for me. And we finally did get out of there and make our way out. And then everything was all cherries and blossoms by then. Until we hit New York. And I had a meltdown in New York.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that made me melt down in New York, well, there's a few things, but just the pure pressure of getting there because the dispatcher really needed it. It was a hot run. It was already old, late getting there. It needed to get there. And the woman on the other end that's expecting it is just like pushy, 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 pushy. Our dispatcher asked when could we get it. We said Thursday. It was Tuesday. She said, okay, well, I'll tell them Thursday. Then the woman begins to call us. And we're trying to explain it'll be Thursday. Oh, can you get here Wednesday? No, it'll be Thursday. Well, what if we do this? Can you get here Wednesday? No, it's going to be Thursday no matter what. No matter what, you got to stop every 10 hours.
Yeah.
And you got to sleep 10 hours.
And we had to run in between.
You got to stop every 6 hours. And we was on a run first. So Thursday was going to be it. But she just wouldn't, it was a constant ringing our phone. So that was getting pretty damn stressful.
Yeah.
But then when we get to New York and beautiful buildings, beautiful water, beautiful layout. I mean, it's beautiful. But the people sucked. The people really sucked. To me, it brought back a lot of fear abandonments, a lot of being lost, not knowing where I'm at, a lot of those things from when I was being attacked, when I had to take off running, when I was in places where I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know where to hide. I didn't know anyone to run to. It brought back memories, flashbacks of those times of my life where I kind of acted them out, I guess. Because, no matter what we tried to do, we couldn't get a rental car. There was either this stipulation or that stipulation. It was on and off of the shuttle buses. It was just a big ass jerk around. When we did get there to get to the woman, we're only a mile away from her. It took us an hour and a half to get there, to get through the freaking traffic. We started down one road. The bridge was too small, so we had to turn this big ass vehicle around and keep riding and rerouting to the map rerouted till we could get over the bridge instead of under the bridge, under the water.
The tunnel was too slow.
So, it's move 3 feet, stop, move 3 feet, stop. The phone is constantly ringing. Women's won't know when you going to be here. And I'm just ill. So, I'm out the window cussing, move, whatever. Trash is piled up high up there, dump trucks in front of us. I couldn't believe the amount of trash. I couldn't believe the amount of hobos and homeless people that were just hanging out, the druggies that were just hanging out on the streets. One guy was just laid across the walkway, people walking over him, looking at him. Guy rolled him. I was just so ready to drop off this damn vehicle and get the hell out of this place. So I was just mad and aggravated at this point. But once we get to the airport, get on a shuttle bus and go to get our rental car, which is already pre-rented, it's a no-go. We can't do it. No matter what we do, we can't do it. No matter what credit card, no matter how we got the money, whatever, we just can't do it. So it's back on a shuttle bus into another one.
Yeah.
Have to order online. So we're standing out here in the cold, blah, 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 trying to order online. Now it's kicking in that I feel like I have been kidnapped and took somewhere that I don't know where I'm at. I don't know where to hide.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get help. All of that just came back. And I did make a video of that, a live video on Facebook. Sometimes I regret some of the videos that I put on Facebook, because one minute I can be laughing like, oh, look at this. And the next minute I can be F you and just crying or, whatever. But I want to be transparent. I want people to know what it's like with a mental illness and having to deal with just even simple daily life things. And then
a challenge, huh?
to, figure out what to do with it and to be able to face off with some of those uncertainties and things that you don't expect that's going to happen. So, I just want people to know that I'm not all sugar and spice and I'm not all mean and nasty. I'm a human being with mental illness. And I have to say that this traveling, delivering these RVs and things has been the best thing for me. And I know that I love it. I know that's where I want to be, because whenever we come home, I'm ill, we argue, and I stay busy rearranging everything. So that completely tells me that I don't have a home, and I'm enjoying being out there and being free. You know, I'm going to have a home, and we're going to have a piece of land, and we're going to have our own RV, and I'm going to have my own little nature palace set up where I can go and have peace and enjoy life and enjoy my freedom as a gypsy, as a hippie, as a nudist, huh, as a high priest or priestess rather. Um, and I'm going to conquer all these phobias, and I'm going to deal with all of my triggers. And I think this is really the best
You are.
thing
You
that's
are
happening
something.
for me.
You're getting over them one by one. Been really proud of
How do you feel about the constant driving, and
you.
does it seem to help you?
Yeah, sometimes. Um, it hurts my shoulders a lot and stuff like that. So, they're sitting in that position all the time. But other than that, yeah, being able to think about things and I think it's kind of a therapy too, in a lot of ways. I was used to traveling before we met, you know, a lot. So I do like to travel too, and I've seen all these things just about, but to be able to share it with you, and for you, it's just a brand new thing. I like that. I like to be able to see it through your lens instead of mine. Mine, yeah, I've been there and I've done that, but I haven't seen it the way you get to see it.
I get all excited.
Yeah.
I see it all as God's work, God's art,
At least I
and I want
know
a piece of all of it.
the. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, you
I want
do.
to the burial grounds. I want to go dip me some dirt. You know,
Yeah.
even the critters on the bless their hearts on the side of the road. I want to take the horns, their claws, whatever. I want to take something of them. I want grass, weeds, whatever, shells, trees, lilies, whatever. So far, I've collected a lot of things from several places that we've been.
So for us, it's been like we figured the first little bit would be kind of repetitive, and we'd be kind of mapping out where we want to go back and kind of hang out more and spend more time at, like the burial grounds you mentioned in Arkansas, and another place in Arkansas I wanted to go to was like where Johnny Cash was born, and we went right past Loretta Lynn's birth house and
Yeah.
Dolly Parton's. I mean, there's a lot of places like that I want to actually check out.
Yeah.
That I never had a chance to check out those specific places. I've been in the states. Well, I've been in all the states, but to check out things like that, well, I say that I haven't been in Alaska and Hawaii, but I've been everywhere else, But and to show you some of these places in season when we can actually drive through them would be nice.
Yeah. So
Vermont and Maine.
I know
and
that we'll
stuff.
get to see all these things, and
Yeah.
now that we know how this goes, we can
Yeah.
actually map it out. And as soon as we turn in our vehicle, we can go check out these places or get a little sleep and go check them out on our way
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So
And we actually went through a big transition. We started out doing this with the tow vehicle,
yes,
which was, I think, was great by itself. Having
it
the
is having your own
independence in a
little
way,
home, because that's what it was, your
because
own little house.
we
I like
basically
that.
lived in this little 2001 tracker
Yeah.
in between runs, going back and stuff. In fact, if we hadn't had that tracker, we wouldn't have made it back across Wyoming when we did. There's no way. But other things like keeping up the maintenance on it and things like that have turned out to be, well, uh, the last set of runs we were doing, we were just starting out on the run and tire blew out.
Yeah.
And when the rear tire blew out, when the vehicle bottomed out as it blew out, it broke the axle.
Totaled the car.
So it's we're waiting on the insurance to figure everything out, and
so now we're going to be doing this with just
rental cars, like
just a backpack and rental cars, Uber drivers, and Walmart.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a little bit different animal now.
Now it's going to get a little harder
Well,
And I'm looking forward to
well, we
that.
talked to we met a guy in Texas. And we gave him a ride to the airport. He does it for another company, which I just applied. No, I was trying to apply for the company, couldn't. But anyway, he's been doing it for another company for a few years, and that's the way he does it with rental cars, which is just him. It's a little different, but we know we can do the same thing. Just live out of a backpack and
Mhm.
just kind of go for it.
So we're not letting us not having a vehicle stop us.
No,
And I guess that's my whole point to everything. Don't let your fears and phobias and your mental illness and the crap that life brings at you stop you from living your life. Don't let the people that you love and, don't let them stop you from living your life.
I think we
Do
do that.
you? Do
Yeah,
you?
that,
Do you?
that
We've learned the
that's a
hard way
good point.
because we've given our life up for our children, for the people that we love, but they went on about their life and
Yeah,
left
yeah.
us here. And
So
that's not what it's about. And if your family splits up and they go one way and you go the other, live your life. If your family splits up but you still communicate, you FaceTime, you Facebook, you do all that, you can still live your life.
that's right.
Just do it.
Just make
Do
that
it.
step and do it. That's the big thing.
Face off with your mental illness. Face off with those phobias and those triggers. Get to know what your triggers are and figure out how you can prepare for those phobias, because ever since the Virginia trip, we've had to cross right back through Virginia 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, we have. Yeah,
And it was smooth sailing
yeah,
because
yeah,
in my mind, it was like, okay, I'm going through Virginia. I'm going to
yeah,
go through West Virginia. I'm going to go through this tunnel. I'm going to go through. It's just going through. I have control of this. I'm here because I want to be.
yeah.
I'm with my husband. I'm safe. I've not been kidnapped. I have enough time to think this thing through. And I'm like, I'm going to look at Virginia. I'm going to look at the mountains and the mountaintops and the trees and the land
Yeah.
and the landscape and the houses, and I'm going to see everything beautiful about it. And that's what I did with each trip thereafter
And
that
it
I
is
come
actually
through.
really
So,
beautiful. See,
and
yeah,
at this point, I could possibly even live in Virginia. I possibly could. I
it's really
faced off
pretty.
with it. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. It was something that happened to me, but I didn't have to let it control me. And so,
yeah.
face off with those mental illness, those phobias, those fears. What the hell do you got to lose?
That's right.
What do
That's
you got
right.
to
And
lose?
I think that's
If
what
it kills
holds
you,
holds most of us back for years and years.
yeah.
And what were you holding yourself back for?
And even if you got small kids and you want to do this, take them, take them.
There's always a way.
There's always a way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The,
homeschool, take your kids with you.
for us,
Just do it.
it was just a way. This is just a way to travel. Because if we were just saying, okay, let's go to this place this month, traveling costs,
Yeah.
and it is
And this
expensive.
way we get
Yeah.
paid to go on
So
vacation.
they're just they're paying us to travel basically, and
Mhm.
we've got travel money. Um,
The VA pays for the bills,
yeah, so
and the
we're
job pays for
the travel.
our luxury.
Yeah, so we're I mean we're basically breaking even because of the way we look at it.
And we're allowed to face off with
Yeah,
fears,
and we're doing all this
and
stuff.
it's like emotional mental therapy for us.
We know a few people that do this and they're actually making money, and we are, but we put our money into the experience
Yeah.
rather than putting it in a bank and saying I'm going to save this. We haven't been doing that.
Nope. Oh, take that money and go
Yeah,
buy something.
we see stuff we want, and we get it. Because some of the places we go, you can get things that we can't get here in North
Yes.
Carolina,
Yes.
or you can't get readily or near as inexpensive as you could in
Mhm.
North Carolina because people jack things up. So we found a lot of places like that, and we'll keep finding places like that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to take you out west in the desert and stuff like that.
And we'll keep
There's such a fierce beauty about some
we'll
of these
keep
places.
video and doing these videos and talking about. I know I will, about my mental illness and facing off with things and how I'm overcoming this and that. Um, some tricks before we get off of here. Um, get you some Kindle books, read them, or bring a book with
Let them
you.
read to you.
Get into some kind of an art, sew something, clay art, whatever, something that's small, compact that you can take with you, that you can stay busy, make jewelry, whatever. If you have phobias of cars and things like that. So just kind of always keep yourself occupied. Like when you see trouble coming, grab something and start making it, and just look at life like do or die. What do we have to lose? Face off with those fears. Don't let them control you. Don't let them prevent you from living life. We're not guaranteed how much longer of life we have, so live it for you.
And do it while you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's it today, guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you made sense. Hope we looked weird enough.
That light washes your color out.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I need to bring it in.
No, it's just the color of the light.
Do you see?
It really washes your color out. Huh.
Yeah, my makeup's really dark and crazy right now. All right.
Well,
I love you.
I love you.
My traveling buddy. See y'all soon.